Hey guys. So, I was looking at that picture, okay, and you see her, and then you
Mhm.
see the two of them together.
Yep.
He is handsome.
Yeah.
Did you notice? He reminds me a bit of Kato.
Well,
Uh,
he's basically a lady killer,
Oh, ha, 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 ha,
Oh,
ha.
oh, oh.
Yes.
oh
You guys,
man.
I'm gonna go ahead and warn you guys. I've already had gremlins. I walked in and I was in a tizzy on the first show, and I don't know if I caused them or whatever. So just be aware. There's probably gonna be gremlins.
That's that's par for the course, I guess. So,
There you go.
Well, I saw that
Say it again.
the Greenbrier
Hey.
ghost kill. Say this is the Greenbrier ghost killer.
well, it's a
In
Greenbrier
1800.
ghost. It's a ghost case, so it's stemming off of a murder that happened in 1897.
Mm-hmm.
So there was the woman Elva Zona Easter Shoe. That's like they have a ton of names back then. Their names are like an episode of Game of Thrones with all those names, I guess, from back in the day. She had married a guy named Edward Stribling Trout Shoe, and he went by Trout. They called him
Trout.
Trout all the time.
Yeah.
So
And he was a blacksmith, so that
yep.
means he's not just handsome, but he's muscle bound.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And wow. And this is really a very confusing case.
Yeah.
Uh I mean, I know that there's things that we'll never know because science, medical field just could not give us that from back in
Well,
that time.
we could always
The
we could always go ask the ghost to come to us, and they could tell us what happened.
I was thinking that, and I'm gonna work on that tonight. I'm gonna
Be
try to.
careful what you wish for with us.
Yes. All right,
No
trout
conjuring, no conjuring. They just, if they want to come to us because they want to join in, that's all good.
All right.
Give
Zona,
us a
my
message.
sweet friend, my sweet Zona Shoe, please come to us tonight
Yeah.
and tell us what happened to you.
Yeah.
Trout, you're not invited.
Yeah, exactly. So he's also, they called him Erastus, and he had all kinds of names. Again, we're talking about one of those he said, she said, Game of Thrones style, we don't know, happening in the Appalachians and I don't know, Appalachia, whatever some people want to call it, in that area of West Virginia.
And
So it's
her
even more
body was
interesting.
exhumed, so we do have information more than what we would
Yeah.
during the typical time frame. So let's start from the top.
Yeah. So
Miss Elva was born in 1873,
mhm.
and she lived in Greenbrier County, West Virginia, and she married Aramis. Aramis.
Erasmus.
I'm trying.
It's
There's
okay.
an S in there. Shoe Trout. He went by. Why would somebody want to call himself a fish? I don't know. Anyway, he was a blacksmith, and then she died in 1897. Very suspicious circumstance. Now she went by Zena Heister Shoe.
Mhm.
I like Elva
So
better, but
yeah.
okay.
So let's put it into perspective, okay? Now, the mom of the daughter name's Mary Jane Heister. Now, when Zona was getting courted by this Edward or Trout, whatever you want to call him, whatever the viewers want to call him, jerk off, asshole, I don't know. Just mind my language down there. But that's what happens with people like this, these narcissistic people that take advantage and just degrade or abuse. And that's the situation. But beforehand, the mom, of course, moms always have the best sixth sense of anybody. So their mothers, those are their daughters, are part of them. They could feel it. Begged her not to get married, forbade it for her to get married to this man. But she did anyways.
Kids don't listen.
Yeah, but just so you know, when they did get married, The mom never visited the home, so she has no idea what the home looked like, you know. And when they got married, the reason why she never went to the home is because when they got married, they were only married for 3 months before she ends up dying. Supposedly under circumstances, it looked like she fell down the stairs. The thing was he really put on a show. I mean, even before, it was almost like he was planning it before. He wanted to look like the doting husband, always coming home and you know, making it look like telling people at work, the blacksmith stuff, that, you know, he loved her, all this other stuff. Put on the big show, put on the waterworks when he found out that she was dead. And then the race was on because there was a boy, he's about 11 years old. His name is Andy Jones. So he was like one of the little kids that would do errands. And he wanted, you know, this Trout wanted him to go to the house because I think he knew she was already dead, wanted him to find him, you know, to do some errands and all that. So this little boy finds, you know, her at the bottom of the stairs, one arm behind her back, one up, where it was almost kind of pinning her up, and her face, she was facing her. And he said in some transcripts that she looks like he was laughing at him. You know, he saw it, it just freaked him out. So he ran and got his mother, and his mother said, you know, go get the doctor. They, you know, got a hold of Trout, and the race was on. Who was going to get there first, Trout or the doctor? So Trout got there first and took the body of his now deceased wife up the stairs, already preparing her for burial, which is so odd. He put a high neck shirt on her. Okay. So that's where some of the evidence, a high neck shirt on her, like covering her up. And he stayed near her head. So when the doctor came, he's holding her, crying, and wouldn't let the doctor get close enough to examine her, to the point the doctor gave up and said, oh, she probably just died of a heart attack. But even in the report, back then, you know, for a woman to have a heart attack, they didn't call it that. So on the original death report, they call it everlasting faint. So it's basically you fainted for everlasting, you know, like a sleeping beauty, you're gone. And then, you know, that people weren't really happy with that. And he kind of changed it a little later on to complications from a miscarriage, but there was no signs of that. It would have been too early on to really see that. So he didn't know what to do with it. So there was a lot of chaos and confusion with, you know, what took her life. You know, it looked like she fell down the stairs, but the husband there is blocking everything all the way to the point where he wouldn't let anybody go near the body, even at the funeral. He stood at the funeral. He put like a scarf around her with that high neck thing on, stood by the head, made sure nobody had enough time there to spend. And really, people were saying they really didn't get a good look at her at the funeral. So that puts a lot of suspicion up for some people up to that point. But you know, the crazy part is, go ahead.
She is here.
Yeah.
And she says that I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. I had to stop him.
Yeah.
And she's also very glad that the baby, she didn't have a child. She had a miscarriage. So she's glad. Because
I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that you said that, because the thing is in this case, you know, before we get to the point where it goes to trial, there was some background done. This Edward Stribling Trout Shoe was married 2 times before. Okay.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So he was married 2 times before. His first marriage was to Elise Esteline Cootlip Shoe. And they had a daughter named Gertrude, the only daughter that they had. She divorced him because of physical abuse. So he was physically abusive. Okay. Now he ended up getting married again to a Lucy Ann Tritt. They were only married for 8 months, and she died suspiciously. So nobody really knows how. There's been speculation. Some say she fell on the ice. Some say they were putting the house together and he accidentally dropped a brick on her head. You know, there's like all kinds of different theories behind that, he pretty much left and then worked his way to the Greenbrier County to start working as the blacksmith. And next thing you know, 2 years after he suspiciously had his one wife die, he's getting married again to our Greenbrier ghost lady, Zona Easter. I don't want to give her that shoe name, but that's what it says. But was her name she took just before she died. But we'll keep the Easter just for respect for her and what she went through. But the fact that the mom, it's saying that she died of a heart attack or the miscarriage, she wasn't buying it. The mom didn't like the guy to begin with. Remember, she tried to stop the wedding, didn't want that to happen. So,
right. She tried to stop it.
Yeah. So she prayed. She was praying and praying and praying to find out what the truth is. And then finally, there was a night her daughter comes to her and she knows she wasn't dreaming. Says her daughter came to her at the foot of her bed. The first night really couldn't talk, couldn't get out what she wanted to say. So 4 nights transpire of this happening. And the story starts coming out more that I didn't die. I was strangled to death, choked me, strangled to death. And she says, we fought. He strangled me because he came home. I didn't have any meat cooked for dinner. There was some other stuff that he could have ate as a meal, but he wasn't happy about that. We argued and he killed me over not making the right stuff for dinner is what happened here. But there was abuse before that, as she said, she started saying how everything transpired, describing where she was at the time, describing the house. Now, let's take this. The mom is convinced, so she wants to try and, get things changed, doesn't know how to go about doing this. But so she's down there, and there's this John Alfred Preston who ends up being the prosecutor of this case to get permission to re-exhume the body. So, a lot of people aren't going to re-exhume over, a ghost thing.
Right.
But the reason being is they got the doctor involved. And because the doctor said to Preston, it's Dr. George Knapp, says, well, he wouldn't allow me to really 100% examine her. And because of that, said, I really didn't get a complete examination, was why they decided to exhume the body. It wasn't because of the ghost visitation, but still what she said, her daughter told her how she was killed, what they probably would find, and describe the inside of her house and what it looked like. The mother was never there.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
So the mother was never there, and the mother could not know because she never went to the house. There wasn't enough time for her to visit before she died. So this is a part that comes up. That's why she became more believable to some people, because she was able to describe things. So let's go to them exhuming the body. They exhumed the body. Again, it's only been a month. All right. This all transpires over a month. So there really isn't any really decay at this point. So when they re-examine the body, they find that the cervix right in this area, it's broken. And, you could see that her voice box like punched out and all that. So exactly how the ghost said that she would look, she looked. So this put a little validity on this ghost making this statement and all that. And to the point we're describing exactly how you die. And the mother is not going to be able to know this. The only way she would be able to know it is if she's the one that killed her daughter, which of course the suspicion under her husband and what he was doing and covering her neck up showed more being suspicious, as opposed to the mother. That'd be the only way, really, if she knew what it looked like a house and how the person died. Nowadays, if you know inside information, ghost or not, you're going to be a prime suspect. But because of the way the husband was acting and the witnesses and more than one witness witnessed him doing these odd things to try and cover up that neck area. And then when they found out that's the way she was killed, they're like, oh, aha, I remember, so that's the big thing there. But all because of, the ghost of Zona comes to her mother and explains all this. That's what set the catalyst going. The mother wasn't going to give up that, her only daughter there was killed by this guy she didn't like to begin with. So that intuition and all that. Always trust mom's intuition. But that up to that point, You know,
Yes.
that's craziness. So it is. It's one of those cases, to the point where there's like a historical plaque because of this case still in that area that you could go see. You could go see her grave.
Bless
There's
her heart.
speculation. There's the area where the house was. They have that very guarded, where if the house is still standing or not. But if it was, they say it was probably going to be in, at the time they changed the names of certain towns, but it's Rennell, West Virginia. So in that Greenbrier County is where the house supposedly stood. There's other places that you could go. There's Smoot, West Virginia, where supposedly that's where the historical marker is. There is a Western West Virginia on Farmdale Road, where you could actually go to the Soul United Methodist Soul Chapel, where you could see the grave. And the Sand Black Church area is where in Smoot on Route 60 is where you could see the plaque. A lot of that's online.
Wow.
That's how much history, how much they put behind this case, and knowing that a ghost actually got this going the right way is unprecedented, and consider the first case in history of our country that a ghost, it was actually a witness. Unfortunately, in the court case, it was told not, when they say, hey, jury, don't listen to that part of it. But there was enough circumstantial evidence to really see after his body, her body was brought up, that the circumstantial evidence that, that he could be convicted of first degree murder, which of course, thankfully, he was convicted of first degree
Yes.
murder.
Now, what she said is that, oh, I'm sorry. You see, Riri, he says hi. He was sliding down. You're sweet babe. So, what I'm getting now, hold on a minute. You want to get down? That's fine. Get your foot out of my headset. Okay, so what I heard before the calamity was she said he did not kill me slowly. When you think of a neck thing, okay, that's usually like, and then it's kind of quick. No, that's not how it went. When she
Yeah.
tried to speak, he would stop her from speaking, but he was turning her head slowly.
Yeah. Well, what the
And
mom
it didn't.
said, yeah, the mom said that Zona's ghost said to her, described that he grabbed her from behind and twisted her head to break her neck. So I don't know if he punched her in the windpipe first and then did that, but that's the only thing that was described what he did. You see in the movies all the time, somebody grabs and, how strong you have to be able to separate, that
Yep.
vertebrae and cut off the cord there and all that to kill somebody is, yeah.
Yeah.
This guy
She
probably had
also
to do it.
moved things. She
Yeah.
also moved things in the house, okay, because she couldn't find her voice after what happened. It
Hmm.
took her a minute I mean, that takes a lot when you
Yeah.
died from a very serious, violent um, situation to be able to maneuver yourself spiritually to overcome that.
Yeah.
So,
But,
I don't hear anything else. I think she's, through, but I just wanted to, I don't think that I know he had to crack her neck, okay, but he
mhm.
did not go, I could see this,
Yeah.
and trying to talk to her and then like that. So
Yeah.
she knew what was about to happen and she was terrified. And it was like in slow motion.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, you really look at the case. I'm going to tell people out there, hey, it'd be cool to have ghosts be able to solve all these cases for us. It has psychic mediums, a shaman, and all that. Sometimes we're able to talk to spirit. But again, you have to discern who you're talking to. Is there a ghost there that has a vengeance to tell somebody murdered somebody when they actually didn't? We don't know who we're talking to sometimes. Some of these ghosts that come through or spirits or whatever, that can make a case go another way. You really have to have the evidence up front, which, there was circumstantial evidence, thankfully. But, the fact of the matter that the mother knew how the house looked like on the inside, never been in there, the manner of death and all that, again, if he wasn't suspicious as he was covering up the neck, you could say she did it. She was angry at her daughter for marrying this guy. They might have gotten in a fight, and but
Yeah, true.
you could go either way in this case. So, what's the truth? What's not the truth? Was the ghost, a real ghost? Did it just throw this guy up the river or something? You don't know. You don't know. So that's why it's going to be hard, even in the future, for a spirit to be able to convict somebody solely and have it make record that that's what happened. There's the other cases like the devil made me do it. That's the precedent will never be set with that, unfortunately, because again, can't really be proven. We're not 100% right or wrong about paranormal stuff or what we see. Are we on a lot of the times, especially as seers and all that? Yeah, because people confirm it. But in this case, I don't know. Was Mary Jane Heaster the mom? Was she a psychic medium and didn't talk about it back then? Was she just seeing this as a psychic and made it up so she could get vengeance for her daughter? Did she ever even come to her? So these are the questions that we ask as normal skeptical people when a case like this comes to us. I'm going to put my paranormal side away, my supernatural side, and then I'm going to put on my law enforcement side. And that's the way I'm going to try and pull a case apart. I'm dealing with all these different people. Andy Jones, the 11-year-old, he went over, did he accidentally doing something for her, didn't see her, push her down the stairs, and they make up this whole story. There's so many different things that you could think of. Kids get sometimes 11-year-olds, they're very anxious and all, oh my God. And, a story's made up or something. I don't know. Yeah. But
it had to be scary for him too. So he may have not,
there might have been something he missed, didn't know, put it out of his body, put it out of his mind. But, those are the things we have to look at. A lot of these cases that we talk about on the show, this is such a different type of case. We're talking about a supernatural incident that created this case to be reopened and a body to be exhumed, directly, indirectly, whatever way you want to look at it. Could this happen now? Probably not, because nowadays with what we have DNA and things like that, I don't think anybody would be exhumed per se, because I think now once a body gets buried, very rare that it's going to be exhumed again, because of being able to take DNA, being able to do more pictures, being able to do 3D images and all this before somebody, under suspicion of a crime is going to be, put 6 feet under or cremated or anything like that. So it's less likely. Back then, this still was a rare thing, to the point where they wanted to make sure they were exactly sure this time around. When they took the body out, they had 3 different doctors examine the body just to make sure that they were in agreement. So that's how sure they were of her manner of death. But going to court, that was a whole nother thing. I mean, him saying, "Oh, I didn't do it." He never admitted to doing anything, of course. Nobody ever really does. Nobody's ever in prison for being, innocent of something like that. But with the court case, the big thing was the prosecutor, John Alfred Preston, didn't want to put the mom on the stand because he thought the jury was going to think she was crazy with the ghost thing. So if he's thinking that, guess what the defense is going to do? They're going to call her on the stand and make her talk about the ghost thing, which of course she did. And she didn't blink. Story was consistent. They kept asking her questions and nothing changed from what she originally said. So she was adamant about it. So if she was making it up, I think there'd probably be some holes, and she was set on, and story exactly the same. Nothing flinched on her. And did that sway the jury? I don't know, because they said to throw out that side of things about don't consider the ghost thing, but it gave, Mary Hester some credibility, even with the jury, when they had to make that decision to say first degree murder. That's the other thing, when I did the forensic psychology, one of the things you could have went toward is pick a jury. And it's always important when you pick the jury, how they're going to perceive things and all that. So you have to see, he must have been thinking, okay, who's more open? Can I get the lady down the street that likes to play with herbs and all this other stuff? Would she be good on the jury because she's going to see the spectral side of things? So those are the things that would go in my head if I were picking a jury. But, with the circumstantial evidence and the potential to have enough people on the jury, especially around that time, we're talking at the close of, the 1800s into the 1900s. So you're really seeing more people doing seances and things like that. A lot of that was coming into play at the same time. We're talking our end of our Victorian era and all that Lee, you wrote a book about just those types of things and how we approach stuff. I think even at that time, people were more open to maybe that spectral evidence. But I think if you went years before that or years after that, I think it wouldn't even been considered to even talk about in a courtroom if that came up. It just happened to hit at the right time. I know it was in rural West Virginia and Appalachia and all that, and people say a lot of stuff is hidden away from everything else going on in the bigger cities, but that had to have come by and been considered. But in the court case, when the jury decided, that they didn't see him as credible, they saw a lot of holes in his testimony, the circumstantial evidence there. But really what it came down to is that trial only lasted 8 days, and it took them, I think it was a total of 80 minutes to decide that he was guilty. And they came back with that. And this is where it gets crazy, my friends. So out of the 12 jurors, 10 of them said they wanted to put him to death.
Ooh.
Okay. Since they couldn't come to a conclusion, it was just life in prison. Because, around that time, we don't know more now, but when you have a local case like that, as you can see, they have plaques about it. It's huge in that area. A mob grew. So there's a lynch mob ready. A lynch mob was ready to come to the jail and take him and hang him. Because they didn't like the outcome. They wanted him dead. So this lynch mob comes and they had to hide him out in the woods and all that to the point where they finally convince the mob to go home. But unfortunately from that, 4 of the mob members were had to go to court themselves and up on attempted lynching, whatever the leaders were of the mob. But of course he survived that. But guess what? Karma sucks sometimes. So he goes off to prison. I think he was only in prison for 2 years, and some mysterious epidemic breaks out at the prison and he ends up dying. So he dies in prison. Yeah. In Moundsville.
To a nicer fella.
Yeah. And the only thing is he's probably buried in that jail cemetery. Yeah, exactly. He got what he deserved. But I bet you she haunted the crap out of him. There's nothing about that. Because if I were her, I'd be poking him all night where he couldn't sleep.
I'd be poking him.
Yeah.
Yeah, she went to her mama.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
She went to her mama and wanted justice. If she wanted revenge, she could have given him heartburn, not let him sleep a night, get good rest or anything. She's the real hero. The mother standing up, even though her daughter disobeyed her. I know she was an adult and everything, but she didn't listen. So now she's dead. But go mama and go daughter. And I really think that you're the one that wanted to do this case. And you have hit the nail on the head.
Yes.
And I believe we should look at more of these cases. People who have ghosts that have solved their own murders.
Yeah.
Those of you that are in chat, could you please chime in if you would like to see this? Would you like to see these cases? I have been looking into this. I have not looked into this case at all. I'll be honest. I guess you could tell that from the start because I was trying to get a handle on it. Yes,
she was very busy today. So yeah,
I was. I've been getting ready for 2026, so it's been rough. But this would be a great, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a little project,
a little series,
a little feature within serial killers, supernatural murders. So all of you that are watching, Let us know. Think about it. Pop in here. Christy, what do you think? Marla, what do you think? Yes.
God,
Okay.
yes.
It's like, God, yes.
Well, I'll
All
tell you
right.
guys, the whole time you've been talking about it, I am shivering cold.
Yeah.
Like, and it's
Oh,
not
she's
cold.
come to
in
see
here.
you then. Yes.
Yeah, I am shivering. Like,
Yeah.
All right. So there's a guy. His name is, well, it's not going to come to me. Give me a second. It'll come to me because my brain is full and I can't reboot. Thank you, Marla. She said I
Marla?
would love this. Okay. Well, it almost came and it went away again. But anyway, he's a friend. I filmed with him, Elliot Van Dusen. There it is, Dr. Elliot Van Dusen, who worked for the Canadian Mounties and was a detective with, in homicide. And
Okay.
he's worked with psychics and worked with me. Let me invite him on the show. He was actually the first person that I had on All Access Network television before Gwen became our producer. And yes, she is adorable. She's a sweetie pie. She
You
helped
make
me
me
along
blush,
today.
Christy. You make me
So let's
blush.
see if we can put that together. I mean,
Yes.
I know that there was a case that I worked on. There's a little boy that was missing, and he was in, it was in North Carolina. I believe it was right on the border of Tennessee and North Carolina. He was missing, and I said he was going to be in a body of water, by water. And I was like, the hell does that mean? Well, he was found in a barrel on a dock by a lake. Okay. So it did come to pass, but he's the one that told me that, and he was a little guy, so that was the best he could do.
Yeah.
And that was the best I could do. So, but we did get a little something. And then I worked on a case in Colombia, and a teenager was murdered by her mother's boyfriend because she had an insurance policy.
Oh.
She was she had an accident, a car accident, and she was getting a settlement. And he was a druggie, and so was mama. And so they decided to take her money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are cases I could bring in, but the main ones I'm thinking of, um, there's been several. Like you said, now I don't know how modern we're going to get, but I know that there was one in the 70s.
Yeah.
It was called Teresa Basa case,
Mm-hmm.
and it was nicknamed the Voice of the Dead, and I don't know anything else about it, but that's an example, okay? And like you said, yes, Elliot is a legend, and he's very
Sorry.
dedicated.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Christy, I was looking. But he was on Repossessed, and he's filmed himself in many different things, and he's a great friend. Yes, Robbie Thomas Marla is a profiler. He's a psychic, and he's written a book about that. He would be great, but it's hard to get in touch with him nowadays. So, but I do have his book. He was really a good guest on the show. So we do have some options for people we could have on as well as our cases.
Yeah, because that's the big thing nowadays. People get so inundated by cases, especially nowadays. Murder is like more rampant than, of course, it was back in the days we're talking about.
Yeah.
There's more help scientifically, but sometimes science hits a wall. They can't do anything.
Yes.
So why not try, the pseudo science, if you want to say, but actually the supernatural, where people are able to tune in to other people's energies that might have passed, almost like, a dog, sniffing dog, but you're doing it, has a psychic medium. You're tuning in, you're sitting with the family, you're getting the energy of the family. They're coming through, they're giving you information to at least try,
Yes.
and it has worked. Like a majority of the time, it has worked. Other times, it really, I think, truly depends. I'm going to tell people a lot. There's a lot of psychic mediums out there. There's too many out there. Are they really ones that are doing it for the right reasons? I don't know. Like I said, there's psychic mediums. Some of them are so good they're like Tiger Woods. Some of them are weekend golfers. But when it comes to something serious about trying to solve a crime, if you don't know what you're doing and all that, and you don't truly give thanks to your gifts, you're not going to be able to do that type of work. that family depends on you. You have to show them love. And love in return brings that energy about where you could tune in to those people that have passed to be able to solve this stuff. It's like anything. It's like going to do a home case. If you don't show that family love or give them instructions to give them a solution to the situation, just not go in there and videotape and expect, the things to go away. You have to come to a conclusion to help that family. Give them the love and give them the ability to overcome the fear. If you don't do that, you're going to keep going back to that house over and over again. It's never going to solve. You have to come to that conclusion. The same thing with these types of cases. You got to get evidence still. You can't just willy-nilly go in there and not know what's going on and expect to tune in. You got to have, a set plan. Get the evidence that's currently out there, read through it, see what it's all about, sit with the family, get that energy that the family has, tune in, even with suspects. I mean, if you have to walk by and not know if there's a suspect, go into a diner while they're in there, pick up on their energy. There's so many different ways to do that, especially, if you're going to be a private investigator or something, to be able to pick up on these things. It's not just a willy-nilly thing that you see on TV. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Being former law enforcement, I do know that. Being in law enforcement back when I was with these abilities made it even harder sometimes because I pick up on stuff and then I got to explain how I know. You
Yes.
can't do that. You can't do that. You got to figure it out. It's like, well, I just know that's not something
not
that I could
enough.
put on a report. I can't do that. So it's always that battle. I take this very seriously, what I do when we're on the show and the information that we give to people. And I think, Lee, what we've just been talking about is a totally different thing that we could veer off on and do
Something different for a
specials.
little while.
Yeah, just some different things, just maybe some cases out there that, we could have family members on, pick up, see what we could do. It is hard to have family members like that, especially if it's an ongoing case. A lot of times legally, we can't talk about that stuff
Yeah,
on
no.
the air. So that
Maybe
makes it
some older
harder.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better.
So, like I said, there's a lot that goes into that, but people out there watching, we are here to help in that aspect. We do have people that will put in the time and will put in the proper effort and give the family love that they haven't been getting because the science is at a block. Police are, I'm going to tell you, it's not that they don't care. They're overloaded by stuff. It's like when you're, in medical field, when you're triaging, if they're dead, they're dead. You're moving on. You're going to save the people that are savable. And it's unfortunate. We have to compartmentalize, in that job, just even as law enforcement, EMS, medical doctors, all that stuff. They have to do those things. But us as family members never want to see that happen to one of our loved ones. Our emotion is over that. They're doing a job. Our families are very emotional, and you have to deal with that properly. It's very hard. That's where a good thing is when you have a psychology background is always helpful, especially when you go into a home case or dealing with one of these, lost persons or, hey, my son hasn't returned in 2 months. I think he's dead. Can you find him? Those types of things. Can you tune in? So
Now,
I'm sorry, Lee.
go ahead,
Thomas,
Gwen.
you remember probably maybe a year ago, me and you were on somebody's show and we were trying to help them out. Do you remember that?
Yeah, with Chris O'Toole. So
yeah, that was interesting.
It is, and those are the things that it's hard when you're on a show and you're talking about that. For me, I'd love to walk in the steps of where the case is occurring. Walk in the steps of them, get the energy of that, feel that. I know some people could do it from distance and all that, but for me, if I'm dealing with a family that needs closure, I want to be boots on the ground. I want to be there. I want to be able to touch and feel the tree that they carved into or something like that. I want to get that feel.
How about you, Lee?
Yeah,
Same?
that's just me.
Well, I've been looking a little bit more into the scientists that have proven remote viewing. And when you think of remote viewing, you're thinking about, I need to see what's happening in Iceland right now,
Yeah.
or the North Pole, or I don't know. I've got Christmas on the brain, I guess. But anyway, I was just thinking there's a way to remote view in the past.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So Dr. Harold, he went by Hal Puthoff, he was a physicist, and he is the co-creator of the first formal remote viewing protocols that was run by the CIA, funded by the SCANATE remote viewing
Mhm.
experiments. Okay, so by doing so, he was one that helped kick off remote viewing during the Cold War.
Yeah.
And in the classes that I've taught over the past year or so, um, I've covered this man a lot. I just find him fascinating. His
Mhm.
name is Dr. Russell Targ, and he was a physicist that specialized in lasers. Now, he
Yeah.
knew sleight of hand magic that he learned when he was a kid, okay? But he learned not only how remote viewing worked, but he documented over 150 successful remote viewing sessions and was part of the team that looked at remote viewing during the Cold War when one of our embassies was bombarded and we had Americans that were being held captive. So, I mean, I'm looking at these things and they go back to the 80s, some go back to the 70s. There are people, as we know, from a Society of Cyclical Research during the Victorian era that has been able to
Mhm.
do something similar. These people have taken some of that and brought it more to the forefront in modern day.
Mhm.
I think if we look at this from both scenarios,
Yeah.
psychically and scientifically, where they do agree, this could really be something fascinating. I mean,
Yeah.
ghosts that solve their own murders. I am all over this. I'm so excited.
But that's something I've wanted to do for a while, and I've told a lot of people, especially with this show. We're talking serial killers and all that. You
Yeah.
know, to go to an area where bodies were left, there's some bodies that haven't been identified. Can we go there and communicate with these people to get a name, to maybe see a missing person in that area that might have that name, to give a family some closure? It even goes to that, um, you know, the unsolved ones of the serial killers that are left behind, that they couldn't identify. There wasn't a record, maybe a voice from beyond, and some way we could track a person that existed at that time that, might have been missing, or somebody that knows that, hey, they were part of this group that nobody really talked about. Those types of things to really give somebody a voice in death, that they still had a life and they had a story to tell, and to make sure that we give them that closure to that story.
Here's another one. Dr. Charles Tart. He's a psychologist, and he would monitor brain waves, just like like a lie detector,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but different and a little different, obviously. But he would basically like monitoring sleep in brain waves,
Yeah.
and he was able to basically he monitored brain waves changes during psychic functioning, and
Yeah.
he published a book called States of Consciousness and Altered States in ESP.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fascinating. I just thought I'd bring some of these
Yeah.
names up because
But it's funny that you say because back when I worked out of college, I came out of college, I had my EMT because I was athletic training major. So one of my degrees, and then I decided, let me get my paramedic and all that. So I did some more, and I'm on the streets for a while. And then at the time, there was a lot of gang violence going on, a lot of shootings going on. That's when Rescue 911 was popular. So a
Mhm.
lot of these people started shooting at us because they think we were going to save everybody. So I was like, I think I need to get off the street instead of the war zone. So I worked in a trauma one hospital ER, as a nursing assistant, where I did pretty much all the grunt work, the EKGs, the chest compressions, and trying to save people's lives, and making sure that if there was backup needed, I could go on life flight or anything like that with my
Right.
background and stuff. But it came to the point where it just got to the point I needed to calm my life down. You're fighting with drunks and psychiatric patients and things. I was like, I got to calm my life down. So an opening happened in the EEG department. So I took that job. It paid me like $1.50 more an hour. I said, let me take this. All I got to do is watch people sleep and put little electrodes on their head and just see what happens. But there was so much interesting stuff. It's funny, all the jobs I've had in my life that have led me up, to learn more about who I am. And that was just one of them. Knowing psychically as a child, you maintain that theta wave into a point where critical thinking kicks in as your body starts changing, the electronics in your head start changing. That theta wave is that about to fall asleep and wake up feeling that we have.
Yeah.
And really where we tune in. And knowing that and learning that back then, and me being who I was, not being able to say, I was like, oh, that makes sense. So it's something, if I didn't work there, I probably wouldn't have known that or learned that, even though they did talk about some crazy stuff at the time, not knowing, I still felt like, I don't think I want to chime in. I just want to go through my life without any issues. And that was a big thing. So I did go through that. So I've had quite a few jobs, was the old master of none or jack of all trades, master of none kind of life. So, but it's been a good life, and I've seen a lot of things. I've experienced a lot of things, and I'm never going to say that was up to this point. Everything I learned brings me to this point, and I always tell people, be truly happy. You don't have to look back. It's made you who you are right now. So a new chapter begins every day.
So Dr. Jessica Utz is a statistician from the University of California, Irvine, and she brought hard mathematics and probability science into the remote viewing research. Her quote is, "The evidence for psychic function is overwhelming."
Do you know that that's the college here in our country is the only where you could actually get a degree in parapsychology
Isn't
from an
that
accredited
something?
university, as opposed to over in Europe and England? I think there's the other part there. That's like the only places that you could do that. I remember looking into it and saying, hey, if I could get and I was like, I don't think I want to go all the way to California. At the time when I was trying to say, hey, maybe I could get a degree in something that I like doing. So
Yeah.
So instead of psychology, I didn't get to add the para to the end of it. But I think after 40 years of doing this, maybe I get an honorary doctorate or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Why not?
Never know.
So this next guy that I'm going to point out, I mean, I know I'm going in a rabbit hole, but I think it's interesting. He was a skeptic. And by the time he was finished with his studies, I'll let you see what he said. Well, I can't get the whole thing in here.
Just say it.
Okay, so his name is Dr. Raymond Hyman. All right, and a great guy. He was a skeptic, but most importantly, though, although he was a skeptic, he admitted that these SRI experiments are real. And then he went on to say this is important because even skeptics acknowledged the data was legitimate, because he made sure that they were well controlled. Where was he during the Victorian era, right? Because that's what they were trying to achieve. So he watched the scientific method on all of these things, and he said, no, this is legit.
Well,
So what we're doing could be really effective. It could be really helpful.
yeah, it's just a matter of getting law enforcement, court systems, legal stuff like that to make that an aspect of investigating and making it a precedent. Like I said, I still think there's a lot of people that aren't going to allow that to be a precedent until there's hard evidence. And again, I tell people all the time, I love the chase, but it's so hard to repeat something paranormal over and over again where we can measure it properly, where people are going to all be in agreement 100% that, hey, this is something provable. We try and we try. I know there's little things here and there that people say, but just overall, are we going to get people 100% to agree that a ghost is a legitimate witness? So I really doubt it. I wish,
Probably not,
but hey, there's that the dreaming side of me and the logical side of me. They're always at battle. How I
I
would
know
love to
it.
see that, but I gotta
Well,
know
we are.
yeah. So,
The three of us are analytical, expressive
yeah.
brained, both of us.
yeah.
The three of us. And that's what I was trying to say. And so that's why we really enjoy our conversations. I think
Yeah.
that's why people like watching us and how we go down these interesting rabbit holes to help each other.
You say rabbit hole?
Rabbit
I
hole?
was gonna say, you say what? You guys should hear us when we're not live.
All right.
Yeah.
That's when
so
it gets really interesting.
But that's the thing is again, what we're talking about, what we are.
that gets all right.
I remember Danny Perez and I would say it all the time. We're both the same. We're open-minded skeptics. All right. We see the stuff
I like
as it
that.
is, as
I
it
like
happens.
that.
Those are our experiences, but we're still skeptical about it to the point for me, just as we go from, we learn and we learn and we learn, we're starting to see things now in the paranormal that weren't provable back then, that were more provable now. Go back to the day when I first started doing this, so much stuff is different, how much more tools we have to try and prove something, which again, I don't think we ever will 100%, but there's more opportunity. There's more people out there doing this, good, bad, whatever, indifferent. But those are the things you have to look at to get things to go forward. Even doctors, they used to think bloodletting would cure people. We laugh at that now, but they had to learn and know that that's not right. If we don't keep trying different things, especially in our field, we're just going to spin our wheels and nothing's ever going to get solved. There's a lot of things going on in our field right now where it drives me crazy. But again, we have to look at things differently. There's a lot of shift coming up. In 2026, there's going to be a lot of shift. I could feel it already. I know a lot of us do. There's going to be a lot more shift towards what we're talking about, towards the healing side of things, towards helping families, instead of just going in yelling everything's a demon and videotaping and get your clicks on YouTube and all this other stuff. That's not helping anybody. Again, I tell everybody, and I'll never change that, I do this to help the living and the dead. That's it.
Thank you.
Whatever way I got to do it, I'm coming to a conclusion no matter how long it takes me. So.
And all of us
I just wanted to throw this. We all do. And listen, guys, I'm just going to say this for everybody watching. Everybody has psychic ability. Whether you listen to it or not is up to you. And it is a perishable skill.
Yep.
So follow your instinct. We're the only animal on the earth that doesn't. All right. So this post here, this banner is for Zona. Isn't that how you say her name?
Yep.
And for all of you psychics out there that are budding and learning and growing and trying hard, Ingo Swan designated the RV protocol. Joseph, these people are not doctors. They're remote viewers.
Yeah.
Have incredible percentages of accuracy. So we have Ingo Swan designed the RV protocol, the remote viewing protocol. Joseph McMonigle, military remote viewer. Okay, we have Mel Riley. Number one remote viewer was Mel Riley.
Huh.
Yes,
Okay.
we're all born gifted. Thank you, Christy. We have Lynn Buchanan, Pat Price. They stunned the CIA with 100% accuracy through the remote viewing program of a Russian facility. So clearly this is during the Cold War. So I just wanted to say, not that there's anything wrong with, calling a psychic hotline or something, because there's a lot of gifted people there as well.
Yeah.
But if they don't know the answer, they will blow smoke sometimes.
Yeah. Well, you really have to know who you're dealing with and all that. And I'll tell you, with psychic mediums, a lot of people come to the seers, the psychic mediums. You know why? Because in our country, we put so much pressure on people with mental health issues.
Yeah.
The stigma on it, they skip over, the psychiatrist. They go see the psychic medium to see how could I get my life back online or whatever. Things start coming through. They feel more comfortable with that. But again, us as psychic mediums and all that know that if we see something, to give them the best help is take away that fear and that stigma so they
Thank
could
you.
go see people the proper way. And that's another thing that needs to change here in 2026. And it is with our Wardruna group. But
Thank you.
on top of that, going back to what we talked about, the Greenbrier ghost case, that's where a lot of this stems from. There's always a start that
Yeah.
builds all these different things. The reason like a ghost came through and it's like, hey, if a ghost could solve a murder, what else can it do? And then people start thinking. So something different happens. Hey, can we remote view? Hey, can we solve this case by, having somebody that's psychic take the boy's favorite toy and figure out where he's at? These are the things that, because of these cases that we talked about today, that we look at things differently and say, hey, there is a possibility that the supernatural could solve something in the natural world and come to a conclusion.
I just think that if we learned more about our brains and how they function,
Mhm.
and lots of times I feel like I think we've missed the boat because as our like brain damage, illnesses of the brain, even mental illness, there's things that we have been able to our mind reworks itself. I
Yeah.
know when I had E. coli poisoning and it was in my brain, I was having severe um, seizures and I was having problems with being forgetful and things like that. It was a lot more to it than just all that. It was a lot. But because of that, whatever ability I had has gotten bigger. It's gotten
Yeah.
better. And just like psychic ability gets stronger when you have when you're grieving.
Yeah. Or you
And
die and come back to life.
there's
That's
that.
true.
Yeah.
Poor Miss
There's
Stacia.
yeah. She's died 5 times, so I think her abilities are pretty over the top now. So, and that proved over the weekend, and we'll talk about that another time. But what we did over the weekend was very profound and helped a lot of people. So I'm ecstatic about that. But really, you go back to the things like, for me, like you said, you could rewire. I had a brain tumor when I was 18. I'm just off to college. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's cancerous or not. So you have to go through that mindset of that grief of, I could potentially have to face a battle. And, when they did the surgery, took it out, found out it wasn't cancerous, thank God. But,
Thank
it
God.
deteriorated that area where they had to take a piece of bone out of my hip and put it in my head. I still have screws there. So when anybody says that, hey, you're weird, I says, well, it's probably because I have a screw loose. So now I could just say that.
You're so cute. You're so damn cute. Oh my God. Um, I started having I started having seizures when I was 9. And it just, then it would stop and then it would come back and then it would stop. And then the E. coli poisoning and migraines. Oh my God, the migraines. And
Oh
Mama
my
Jimmy
God. I had
Mom
migraines
had
for
them.
years. Yes.
And then I had a brain injury, but
Yeah.
a car accident, but that wasn't that bad. I
Yeah.
was already a little bit,
Well,
I was
I
already a
guess,
space cadet.
well, I'll tell you, Lee, I guess that explains a lot. So.
Yep.
That's so
I,
funny.
hey, I earned that. Here's my last little slide. Here it is. Okay. So what we've been talking about with the doctors, what we've been talking about with how people have taken action to solve murders. Ghosts have actually solved their own murders. Okay. Over the 20 years that these doctors have worked to prove remote viewing, which is a type of psychic ability. So that means they could basically prove all types of psychic ability. It just hasn't come yet. But remote viewing accuracy was far above chance, million to one chances. Blind experiments are real, verifiable results. This is a 20 years of controlled government testing. It went from the CIA to NASA. All right. We're talking about there's no known sensory mechanism. These people are sitting in a room with no sound, no light, nothing, complete darkness. Uh, Then we have Ingo Swann, who affected magnetic meters.
Yep.
He could set off ghost hunting equipment, basically, is what that is. Viewers located downed aircraft, Soviet bases, hostages, submarines, and then finally, statistical confidence exceeded million-to-1 odds against chance. This is unmatched in modern neuroscience. It is a science. It is not pseudoscience. Ghost hunting methods might be a little bit of a pseudoscience still, but not this.
I think a lot of the for ghost hunting things is most of us do it in a place where it's not a controlled environment. Um,
Sure.
there's stuff that you could test in a controlled environment potentially, but again, is everybody going to agree to it? Probably not. To the point, there's not going to be enough people at this moment. But again, at this moment, so there's still stuff. If we keep trying different things, there's people out there that are trying a lot of different things. Like somebody like my friend Lauren Hellickson, who really has gone back to college to really learn more stuff for her craft, to kind of improve some of the things. But she's doing it the right way. She's trying different things. She's thinking things outside the box. She's trying controlled experiments and all that. Yeah, you can't just go out there and get a piece of equipment that you have no idea how it works and try and measure something and you have no idea how the piece of equipment works. So how do you know you're doing it right? We have to stop that stuff. But there is that run for the science side of it, but there's also the run for the psychological side of it too, the healing part of it. Most
Thank you.
people out there now in the paranormal, most people's paranormal issues are caused by trauma. That they create that almost like that tulpa they created, that egregore has a group of people thinking all the same thing. That's what it is sometimes. Out of all the cases I've done, guys, I've done thousands of cases over 40 years, whether it be
yes.
whether it be a quick phone call or spending weeks at somebody's house, it's still a case. And you come to those conclusions, and I tell you, I could count on one hand that it's actually been something that doesn't have anything to do with trauma. So, it is. You got to look at it differently.
Yeah.
Most people aren't equipped to do it. If you're not equipped to do it, I keep saying this over and over again. I know back in the day when I met Ed and Lorraine, they knew what they were doing. They weren't people, if they didn't know what they're doing, not to go out and do it. So that's why their lectures were about, hey, did they do seances? Yes. Did they warn people not to do them? Yes. Because if people don't know what they're doing, you shouldn't be playing with stuff that you don't have an understanding of. So that's why I say, if you don't have an understanding of the psychology of somebody, potentially what they're going through in a home, it could be detrimental. There's been cases where people go in and say, I'm a medium and you have demons all over you. You're talking to somebody who's schizophrenic and now they think they have demons all over them and they commit suicide. So you're responsible now. Your words have power. So if you don't know what you're talking about, don't mind me here. Get the hell out. All right.
Yep.
So that's the point I've come to at this coming to the end of the year. I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired of seeing it. Good people getting hurt, people giving them the wrong information. Take it seriously. It's a serious vocation that we do. If you don't do it right, you make it bad for all of us. I don't want to pick up the pieces. I'd rather go in and have it done the right way. Which
That's right. You're right.
You got to have love for these people. You can't just go in because it's all about you and your ego and what you look like. And if you're going to get a TV show because you did this and you did that, no, that's not what it's all about. It's the quiet people. The ego goes away. You're there for these people. You're there to listen to them. What's going on? Why this is going on? Get to the bottom of that. Show them love. Get them to open up. Give them that closure. If you don't go into this, so you don't give the closure, then you're not doing anything. Absolutely nothing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's not like buckling up to a roller coaster. It is not.
No.
You're not going to be responsible and have integrity to your work.
Mhm.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. Just look for Bigfoot or something.
Yep.
And
I tell people, if you're beyond your purview and you feel it, put the ego aside. I'll be more than happy to assist you. You could call me at any time. You could reach me online. I'll do my best to help you get answers or put you in the right direction. I'm mostly in educational mode right now. If you see me on a case, because that case is so serious, that, you know, I'm going to go to it. I don't really go to cases really anymore. I'm on a teaching mode where I try and teach people and give them, you know, what my knowledge is over 40 years. You know, is my the best knowledge? Maybe not. Everybody looks at things differently, but the way I look at it, if it helps one or two people to do the right thing, then I know I'm doing the right thing as I teach. You know, Stacia and I have been working on a case out here in Ohio. That's crazy. The onion layers are coming off of the work that we did. Um, it's emotional.
Yes, it is.
It is, and seeing the family, you know, go from, you know, almost not wanting to be here anymore to seeing the hope, to see, you know, a young child be happy again and hug you before you leave.
No.
That's what it's all about, because you're getting through, you're showing them love, and you're taking the fear away. If you're not going in to do that, that's why I'm getting emotional, because I'm telling you, people out there, you're doing this, you're not doing it for the right reasons. I mean, just block me, please. I don't want to talk to those types of people anymore. I'm pretty done with it. You know, after what I witnessed and what people go through, and somebody says, yeah, it's this, and they don't do anything about it, they leave them high and dry. If you're a spirit and you're desperate to talk to somebody, and in our time, it's been 50 years since they talked to anybody, and you finally come through and you're able to talk to them. Because if you don't, you're just going to make them angry. You just leave them. Oh, I got a video. I'm going to go put it online. You have no closure for that spirit either. You
And
got
you're
to have
responsible.
closure. Yeah, you got to have closure for your
Guys.
client and for spirit. That's it.
I agree, Tom. I'm gonna get Raven's show is next, and I need to pop
Yeah.
over. I love you guys,
Good.
and yes,
Yeah.
I'm about to cry. You're about to make me cry. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
thank you everybody for watching, and I'm gonna pop out. Lee, you close it. You got it.
You look so pretty tonight. Your little pink cheeks and your pink shirt. You're so pretty.
You've been with me
Yeah.
all day, girl.
Yeah, but look at you. You look great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Y'all
Gwen.
make me
Thanks for
blush
all
even
you
more.
do for us. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I have to make myself wear colors sometime because you know my chosen.
Well, yeah. Anybody watching, make sure you watch Raven's show, because the
Yes.
legend himself is on tonight.
Yes, he
Kenneth
is.
Drake, the Hollywood
Oh, I love
medium.
him.
So that'll be good.
I
Love
love
him.
That should be
Love
fun.
him. He's so
We'll be
talented.
watching. So.
But we'll close out of here. Good night. All right.
bye, honey.
So I appreciate what you said, Tom.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna close this. Uh-oh, Gwen. I think she's home. It'll go.
There she
There it
goes.
goes.
Yeah.
All right. So I was gonna throw this out there and then you close this and bring us home, okay?
Yeah.
So tonight we told the chilling story of Zona Hester Keister
Yep.
Shoe, the
Yep.
woman who refused to stay silent even in death, and her spirit returned to reveal the truth and expose her killer. So this marks the beginning of our eerie new series, The Ghost Who Solved Their Own Murders. We'll do this as long as we can, as long as you guys are interested, and you know, there'll be some interesting things to come up, and I hope that you will continue to communicate with us about what you see, what you hear, and especially what you feel. And remember, we don't honor murderers here. We're not trying to bring them any notoriety at all. We honor the voices that rise from the grave demanding justice. We honor the survivors, even the ones that didn't physically survive. All right, bring us home, Tom.
All right. Everybody out there, thank you. Again, a quick thank you to everybody who came out to Salem Paracon. I really didn't get the opportunity. I enjoyed seeing everybody there. A lot of people got to hear a lot of good messages. So it was an incredible weekend. And again, people out there, I'm available to teach. Put the ego aside. Look for that help. Come see us at Leitreanna. We're more than happy to help you at all aspects. We have the biggest diverse group of shamans probably in the world in our group.
Yeah.
And we want to be there to help and give you direction. If I can't give you direction, I got somebody in my Rolodex that could do it. You tell me your story, I'm going to match you up with the person that's best going to be able to assist you.
So this is our featured psychic, Okay, with Rodruna is Miss Stacia Wills.
Yep.
Wonderful, wonderful lady. I love her dearly. And let's see. I was trying to find the Wardruna. Well, Wardruna Forever. I was looking for
Yeah.
our banner, but I think maybe it's been shuffled a bit. But just remember, you do have resources out there. If
Yeah.
you have some spiritual crisis, personal crisis, or even health issues, get in touch with Thomas Gormley, the Archangel of Paranormal. Everyone, thank you for watching Supernatural with Serial Killers, Supernatural, and Murders. Have a great night.
All right. Have a good one.